Welcome back to Late Night with Dr. Paul, here with Mike Savage, Mayor of our fine city. Welcome back, Mike. Thanks for taking the time to join us today. And it's a bit of a sad day because I think for the first time ever, we're forced to drink an olive glass of water because, of course, we are in City Hall here and
We're in City Hall.
have to observe the rules and customs.
Right.
But
It's good to be back.
we'll sneak over to the pub afterward just in case. No, this is your third time on the show, but the
Is
last
it?
time was just
Okay.
before the election.
Yeah.
So I'm forced to wonder 2 years in, how often you wake up in the morning thinking to yourself, what the hell was I thinking?
Well, it's a good question. I like the job. I enjoy the job, and I think I have an affinity for it. But it is a crazy job because you're involved in so many things, and the mayor seems to be pulled in many, many directions. It's much different than being a member of parliament. It's infinitely more complex and probably more difficult, but much more rewarding. And I like it. I like it. I tell people being mayor is like, I'm asked to describe it, and I say, at any one point in time, you probably have 1,000 files on your desk that affect maybe 10,000 people, but 100,000 people think they're affected, and 400,000 think the mayor can fix it. And that's what you're dealing with on a daily basis. It's a challenge, but it's great fun.
Don't be so shy, you can fix everything.
Yeah. Did you park illegally? You need a hand? Can't do that.
We'll talk after. Speaking of fixing things, I know this isn't entirely you, but very, very pleasing for me to see cranes in the sky for the first time in a generation here. A lot happening between the bank buildings being redone and improved upon, waterfront centers opened, the new convention center is well underway, a new project, at least one that I can see down on Hollis Street. I assume you're pleased to see these things as well. Do you want to see more of this sort of thing, more development, more high-density construction, or do you think at some point we need to slow it down a bit?
I think we have room right now. We see reports that indicate we have high vacancy, but this is private sector-led, private sector development in the downtown core. We see offices like Waterside and others. We see residential developments coming down. And what I like, we have a combination of them. Most of them are, have some office or retail and then residential. There's a number of things happening. Barrington Street is coming to fruition now. We're seeing development on Barrington Street. I think it's very positive. But we have some big projects yet. Cogswell, for example. One of the challenges with something like Cogswell is you don't want to saturate the entire market in one area. So, some people say, well, you could put 30,000 people there. Well, where are they going to come from? So it's a mix of green space, enhancements to the public realm, and development, and making better transit. So I think we're on the right track, and we've got to be vigilant about it.
Good. And I think from what I understand, too, there's been more of a push on for more affordable housing down here. And once that's there, once people move in, that changes the whole dynamic of the area as well.
That's a great point. And affordable housing has a whole bunch of specters. So we have people who need very basic housing. We have people who are homeless. But then we want more people of more incomes living in the downtown. And we're seeing things like Theatre Lofts and Q Lofts and Harris East and the potential of South Point at the end of Barrington, which are going to be sort of micro suites. But, young people will move in there. And that's the dynamic we need in the downtown. It's not just rich people moving in, but people of all incomes and backgrounds and demographies coming in. That's what we need.
Great. Helps minimize traffic, helps minimize parking issues.
Exactly. If we can get people living closer to where they work and where they want to be, that's a good thing.
I'm also working, as I've observed, with iCanada, along with some other groups here, to try to bring Halifax up to a formally recognized intelligent community. What does that entail in sort of broad strokes, and why is that good for us?
I can only give you the broad strokes because I'm not smart enough to figure out all the details. People like Barry Gander and others have been very involved in iCanada and have been helping Halifax. And we've got good people in the city, people like Greg Keefe, Donna Davis, and Jim Kirk, and trying to do a lot of things so that we can become a smart city. I was presented with, I've got it over here, a Google eTown Award last year because we have a lot of people who are shopping and living online. But to me, there's two things. One is making us smarter. Part of that could be having a public Wi-Fi in the downtown area. But also, what do we do with our data? Like, the data belongs to the people, so we've been opening up data opening up, starting with 17 data sets a year and a half ago, and moving on that, and then asking people, how do we take this data and turn it into usable bits of information? I was at a hackathon a year ago, or just under a year ago. So it's really about being smart how you use your information. And then we can, we can have hopefully Wi-Fi in buses. We can have apps that tell people where parking is downtown. These are all things that are very possible, and you don't have to reinvent the wheel.
I know there's obviously a technological component to becoming an intelligent community, a smart city. Obviously, the intelligence and education level of the people are a component of that. Are you concerned with the community, like Clayton Park, derailing this whole thing and bringing down the average, maybe knocking us out of the contention here?
Not at all. You know what? We're a very educated city. We have 6 universities, 7 if you count Université Sainte-Anne, which is also here now. A very aggressive and effective community college. We have one of the most educated workforces in North America. It's a great advantage. And if you want to be smart, that's a great starting point.
When we spoke last, one of your 3 priorities in taking on this job was entrepreneurship, and I think immigration is an important component of that. Where do you see where we are now in terms of entrepreneurship in the city as opposed to, say, 2 years ago? And how do you see us moving forward? And on the immigration front, just to overcomplicate the question further, Nova Scotia, from what I can see, nationally has a very, very small allotment, given its population, as to how many new immigrants we're allowed to bring in through federal programs.
Yes.
Is there anything you're able to do to help influence our friends in Ottawa to change that?
Well, it's a big question. So entrepreneurship and then immigration tied together. You see people like Volta Labs who are doing some really cool stuff. Innovation. There's a potential to do more with organizations like that. We as a city have to prove that we can be entrepreneurial by being faster and nimbler in the way that we do our work. Frank McKenna was here the other day, and I was invited to have breakfast with him along with the One Nova Scotia Commission. And one of the points he made was that the entrepreneurs that got us here are not necessarily the entrepreneurs that are going to take us to the next level. So if you look at Halifax and you look at Alexander Keith and Samuel Kennard and people like that, they all pretty much look the same. And they developed a community that we can be proud of. We have a new breed of entrepreneurs in Halifax. The Wadia Ferrises, the Louis Lowens, the Danny Shedras, the Joe Ramias, that have come along and used their entrepreneurial skill to drive the community ahead. But now we're going to be looking at even more different entrepreneurs. And a lot of them don't even know where Halifax is right now. And we have to compete to bring them here. It's important that the immigration numbers go up, both in terms of the provincial nominee program, and our allotment is very skinny compared to a province like Manitoba that's only marginally, about 400,000 more than we are, but they have 5,000 and we have 500, or it was 700. I'm not sure exactly what it is now. It's not enough. We need that, but we also need more immigrants in other categories as well. We need workers, and the fact is entrepreneurs create wealth. They don't take wealth, they create wealth. Immigrants create wealth, and we need more. So taking advantage of our universities. We had the first Mayor's International Student Welcome Reception about a month ago. It was fabulous. There's kids from around the world that are studying here, and they want to find something to do here and stay here. So we have a lot at stake.
Very good. Well, my final question was going to be, how do you find this martini compared to the last one we had? But I think I know the answer to that, so I'm not going to bother asking it.
This one seems a little thin.
It is.
Compared to the other one, but the olive is good.
The budget's down, and we're using sort of second-rate
Nobody makes a
now.
better martini than you, Paul, but
Thank you very much.
when it's made out of all water, it's not quite the same, is it?
It depends on whether it's your first or your 10th. Anyway, cheers.
Cheers to you.
Thank you so much for taking the time
Thank
to be back with us, and glad to see things are going the way they are, and look forward to seeing you again.
We're going to do better.
Excellent.
Thanks, Paul.
Thanks for joining us, and stay tuned next time. We're going to sit down with Barry Gander from iCanada, and we'll get back to this tenuous issue of Clayton Park.